Okay, so I recently put out a video playing an old N64 game called Top Gear Overdrive, and I mentioned that this game was by far and away the fastest N64 racer that I've personally ever played. Of course, with a title like this, I was bound to get some people telling me which faster games existed, and a few different times I came across the name Extreme G. This is a game that I've never played myself, and I've never really seen it before either, aside from on the shelves at my local retro game shop, but because of the recommendations I was getting, I figured this would be the perfect time to pick it up and give it a shot. And let me just say right now, this won't be a comparison video between this game and the last racer I played, because Extreme G is just definitely way faster. If you like these breakdown style videos I've been putting out on these old N64 titles, I recommend you consider subscribing. I do this kind of stuff all the time and I'm trying my very best to get a new video out every single Friday, so stay tuned. Okay, Extreme G. This is a futuristic, almost apocalyptic bike racer with guns, rockets, lasers, mines, and honestly way more. Off of that sentence alone, I think it should be pretty plain to see that this game is incredibly fun to play. Not to mention the Sonic Riders style techno beat music in the background is always keeping my blood pumping. Like I mentioned before, the speed in this game is just ridiculous at times, and grasping full control of it really allows you to fly through these races no problem. In order to control your bike at the speeds you'll find yourself going in Extreme G, there are a few things that you should know. Firstly, at regular driving speed, you'll almost always be just fine on the turns that you come across. As long as you can react to them fast enough when the corners come around, you should be zipping through these courses in no time. With our incredible boost button though, things change quite a lot. In every race, you'll get 3 boosts you can use at any time during the race, and these boosts are fast. Seriously, this game goes 0 to 100 so goddamn fast you'll probably wonder every time whether the moment you used your boost was a good idea or not. Most often I use these boosts on the longest straightaway I can find in every track, but sometimes I like to spice things up. When you're boosting like this, you still have just as much control over your bike, it's just made way more difficult in the way that new twists and turns are now coming at you at Mach speed, and they're very hard to react to in time. Using your turns and drifts properly, you can get away with some pretty mean looking boost moments, and it's incredibly satisfying to pull off. Speaking of the drifting though, how does it feel in this game? Well, you know how turning on a bike is sort of just leaning to the side into your turn? The drift here just makes you lean more and turn sharper. There isn't a sliding type of drift in this game, it's just a sharper turn. This offers so much more control to the player than having to get used to sliding around corners in a game with this much speed, and I really dig it. If you need a sharper turning angle, simply tap R a couple times or hold it down if the upcoming turn is extra sharp and you'll be fine. Honestly, the amount of control that you have steering perfectly with these bikes is a great thing to have in a game like this, because I can honestly see people that know these tracks perfectly playing through without hitting a single wall at all. You are able to control your bike that well in this game, and I loved getting used to it. In the single player campaign type of mode, we have 3 cups: Atomic, Meltdown, and Critical Mass. Every cup going down will have more and more races than the last, but thankfully they don't just add new ones to the end of the list. All the new tracks added in every cup are mixed throughout the courses you were already racing through in the previous cup, and it helps to keep everything feeling a little less samey. In all of these cups, we also have 3 different difficulties, which are all quite different from one another. In Easy, we have other racers on the track that generally don't cause many problems for the player, aside from maybe using items as they race through every course, but even in Intermediate, things become quite a bit spicier. You know how I mentioned guns earlier? Yeah, every vehicle has a gun in this game, with a little meter specifying how much ammo you have to spend until you start the next lap and refill. These guns shoot more or less straight ahead, with a little bit of tracking if someone is slightly to the side of where you're pointing, and when the shots are landed, the person being hit will lose some of their shield meter, as well as getting slowed down and having their handling limited. Shooting other racers or being shot by other racers is actually quite a big deal in Intermediate and above, because it's kinda difficult to keep yourself from being shot in the first place. It's a fun but slightly frustrating mechanic sometimes, and in Intermediate difficulty you'll be seeing it quite a lot. And I actually haven't played quite this far yet, but I have dabbled, and extreme difficulty seems ridiculously hard. In beating Critical Mass for the first time on any difficulty, you'll be rewarded with a clearly overpowered bike. I mean, just look at these stats. With a bike like this, I dove headfirst into extreme difficulty on the first cup, and even with my unfair advantage, I had a really hard time winning every race. You will be shot, you will have items coming your way as often as possible, and it's just a ridiculous ride. Playing through it is so much fun though, for real. I'm definitely going to try to beat all these cups on extreme before I ever move on from this game. Aside from all of the fun regular racing, we do have a couple of cheat codes here that you'll be told how to use after coming first in these cups on different difficulties. These cheat codes are just a bit of fun, and most of them are visual changes. First of all, changing your name to Roller, you'll find that every bike has been changed to a rolling stone. This is just kind of hilarious, and it looks really goofy when you're drifting corners really quick. Next up, if you change your name to Wired, the entire game will appear in wireframe. Unfortunately, this does make your frame rate take kind of a dive, but it does look pretty cool overall. Our next name change is Ghostly, and this one is just really hard for me to play on. It makes the entire track slightly transparent, and on certain tracks it really makes it hard to tell when you are at your turns or when they're actually coming around. Not really a fan. Next we have the name Ugly Mode, and I really didn't notice a difference here. On game FAQs, it's listed as a cheat code to play with pixely low graphics, but it honestly kinda looks the same to me. In fact, it actually seems to make the game run a little bit better, so I might have to use this while playing in the future if it really does help maintain better frames. Our 5th and 6th cheat codes are Fisheye and Magnify, and they will either zoom out or zoom in your camera. Zooming out the camera makes this game's speed just look insane, and it's really hard to control, even in comparison to how it normally goes. And zooming in just leaves you with way too little vision to actually see when your turns are coming or how long the turns actually are. Changing your camera angles in game doesn't really help in either of these modes either. In case zooming the camera out didn't make this game feel fast enough for you though, change your name to Extreme and you'll play with ridiculous speed. Like, you actually reach double your regular driving speed, and it is really nuts to try to play. It may not look as different as it feels, but I assure you this mode is nearly impossible to control well. Anti-grav is our next cheat mode, and it just flips everything upside down. I kind of hate this, but in a funny way, it's made better by reversing your left and right steering on top of it. I still hate it, but at least the steering doesn't feel weirder than it has to. Our next code is Banana, and it makes the track a little more slippery to drive on. While yes, it is a little more slippery, it also seems to make your steering a lot sharper in a way. It's a weird mix of less control in some places and more control in others, but overall, I wouldn't be caught playing with the banana code on. And finally, we have Nitroid, giving you infinite boost to use throughout your whole race. The thing about this one though is that your camera will not be able to keep up with you when you boost. Either this is just a camera gimmick to go along with your infinite boosting power, or your boosts might actually be faster than your regular boosts in the game usually are. Either way, it's ridiculous to play with. With all of this game's content and all of its silly cheat codes, I think it is a much better example of an extremely fast N64 racing game. Faster than any I've ever played before, and that's more true now than when I originally said that in my Top Gear video. If you like this video, feel free to like the video down below and maybe subscribe while you're down there. I consistently post content like this to my channel, and if you like this one, you're bound to find a few more that you enjoy, especially with the videos I've already got in the works. Until next time though, my name is Myloe, and I'm out.